Hello, my name is Shubhi Singh, Assistant Professor at School of Law and Legal Studies, Sage University, Bhopal. The topic for today is Laws Protecting Women's Rights in India, Access to Justice Series Part 2. Various rights. I will also discuss about the laws protecting women's rights in India. The different forms of violence against women are first, violence in the family, which can be the traditional practices, domestic violence, sexual assault within marriage. B, violence in the community, which can be defined as rape, sexual violence at workplace, custodial violence against women, trafficking. The first in these series of the acts are the Dowry Prohibition Act 1961. Dowry is defined in the act as any property or valuable security given or agreed to be given either directly or indirectly by one party to the other party to the marriage, by the parents of either party to a marriage, or by any other person. The Dowry Prohibition Act 1962 outlawed giving or receiving dowry and made it a punishable offense. The imprisonment would be for a term which shall not be less than 5 years and a fine. Though the Dowry Act Prohibition Act was established in the year 1961, though this practice of dowry giving and taking is still prevalent in India. The next is the Equal Remuneration Act 1976. It provides for the payment of equal remuneration to men and women workers and for the prevention of discrimination grounds of sex against women in the matter of employment and for matters connected with incidental thereof. The next is the Cedar Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, 1979. It is a landmark international agreement that affirms principles of fundamental human rights and equality for women around the world. CEDAW is a practical blueprint for each country to achieve progress for women and girls. CEDAW also strengthens the United States as a global leader in standing up for women and girls. In countries that have ratified CEDAW, women have partnered with their governments to improve the status of women and girls, and as a result have changed laws and policies to create greater safety and opportunity for women and their families. The next is the Indecent Representation of Women Prohibition Act 1986. It is an act to prohibit indecent representation of women through advertisements or in publications, writings, paintings, figures, or in any other manner and for the matters connected thereof. The next is the National Commission for Women Act 1990. The central government shall constitute a body to be known as the National Commission for Women to exercise the powers conferred on and to perform the functions assigned to it under this act. Some of the functions of the NCW are to investigate and examine all matters relating to safeguards provided for women under the constitutional law and to look into complaints and take suo motu notice of matters related to deprivation of women's rights and also to achieve the objective of equality and development. The next is the Prenatal Diagnostic Techniques Regulation and Prevention of Misuse Act 1994. This act is intended to provide for the regulation of the use of prenatal diagnostic techniques for the purpose of detecting genetic or metabolic disorders and others. According to this act, the prenatal diagnostic test cannot be conducted without the consent of the pregnant women. It also prohibits the communication of the sex of the fetus. The next is the Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act 2005, one of the landmark Act. Domestic violence is defined in this act as any conduct of the respondent if he brutally assaults or make the life of the aggrieved person miserable by cruelty of conduct. It is also domestic violence if the aggrieved person is forced to lead an immoral life. Injuring or harming the aggrieved person is also domestic violence. If the pursuit of course of conduct of the respondent was reasonable to his own protection, it does not amount to domestic violence. The next is the Prohibition of Child Marriage Act as amended up to 2006. The act is defined in the act as a person, child, who is a male if they have not completed 21 years of age and a female has not completed 18 years of age. Child marriage is a marriage in which either of the contracted parties is a child. Punishment for conducting, performing, or abetting child marriages extend to 2 years rigorous imprisonment and a fine which extends to 1 lakh rupees or both. Still, the child marriages in India are very prevalent. Sexual Harassment Prevention Act 2009. This act is formulated in order to prevent sexual harassment and protect the rights of the victims. Excluding sexual assault crimes, the so-called sexual harassment component in the act refers to the sexual statements or sexual behavior violating another person's wishes. The next is the right to maintenance. This provision is to provide a summary remedy to prevent dependence from destitution and to serve a social purpose. The following are entitled to the right to maintenance: wife, if she is unable to maintain herself; legitimate or illegitimate minor child, whether married or not, who is unable to maintain himself or herself; father or mother, who is unable to maintain herself or himself. Consequence of violence against women can be physical, psychological, economical, and social. For the survivors, they are also interconnected. Stop violence against women. Violence against women is an everyday reality. Act now, always and forever, before it is too late. Thank you. That's all, folks. Stay tuned and subscribe to Sage University, Bhopal.